Hi, Nikolai, Frederick. Thank you so much for coming to BizTalk. How are you today?
Doing great, thanks. You, Max?
Well, thank you.
Thank you, guys, for coming. So before talking about business, shall we give an introduction to both of you?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a business engineer, and I founded my first company in 2013, which is an elderly residence. Studied nursery and doing nursery in the elderly residence, and found out there were a lot of issues, and that's why Watcherr is founded.
Thank you. Frederick.
Hi, I'm myself. I'm a physiotherapist and a gerontologist. I used to operate my own care house group in Belgium, consisting of 18 residences. And I've met Nikolai, who has founded Watcherr, and together we're going to tackle the same problems we have met during our operations and to pitch it towards proactive care instead just to have that reactive care.
Thank you, guys. Nikolai, if you want, we can start talking about your startup, guys.
Yeah, perfect. So thanks, Max. So Watcherr is the company name, and we specialize in predicting things in the future in order to prevent them from happening. So we're winning quite a bit of awards. We're a Belgium-based company in health tech over North America, Asia, Europe, and now we're getting partnerships and distributors who want to redistribute Watcherr over different countries in these continents. So we had 1.3 million revenue in 2022. That's around 40 signed contracts with elderly residences and hospitals, mostly active in the UK and Belgium, and even the biggest player, Orpea, who owns more than 1,000 elderly residences, is a customer of Watcherr. So we specialize in the problem that I faced as a nurse myself, in how is it possible to detect when someone is having dehydration, malnutrition, dementia, do they still have social contact, is there an increased fall risk? And today it's not possible to monitor this efficiently. Now, we found a solution by providing a platform where different devices and management systems or software systems can connect to. We gather this data and determine the deviations on this data in order to prevent serious situations from happening. So we alert the healthcare provider upfront in order to prevent the situation from happening. How we do this is, on the left side, we have devices, which we don't make ourselves, but just buy these devices. But we completely erase the firmware on it, stating that we control the devices. We make a Bluetooth grid in hospitals and elderly residences where different other Bluetooth systems can connect to, including wearables like a Watcherr Lite, a button on the wall, or a Watcherr Pro, and we collect a massive amount of data, going from vital parameters like heart rate deviation or saturation level to fall detection, geofencing. We track or monitor everyone inside the building, but also outside the building, which is very important via the Watcherr Pro. So there is a continuum of healthcare on that moment. And we can also talk over the device to a healthcare provider, saving a lot of logistic costs and administrative costs. We also created a Watcherr charger, which you can connect to the Watcherr Pro and charges the Watcherr Pro while wearing. So there is also no discontinuity in this case. And to enrich data, we're now partnering up with a lot of companies, including smart diaper sensors, out-of-bed sensors, management systems, who are connected with 3,500 residences like in UK or in Belgium with 3,000, giving us a lot of extra customers. And we specialize mostly in a SaaS or a DaaS platform, data as a service, where we want to determine specifically when someone is having deviations on dehydration, malnutrition, and so on. This is just a look and feel for you how the system is being used by our customers, stating alerts about residents, going from deviations in heart rate, saturation, geofencing breaches, fall detection, and so on. But also devices are being monitored around the globe. And most importantly, I can't emphasize it more, it can be used inside the building and also outside the building, which is a very unique selling point for Watcherr. Here we use a bit of representation and data analytics, where we monitor the person 24/24 inside the building and outside the building. And we combine this with wrist movements, where we know when someone is brushing their teeth, combing their hair, when they are drinking, eating, even mopping the floor. And this can create very efficient data determining what exactly is happening with this person. Our business model is very simple. We connect products and services and providers in the market via service fee, both to the B2B market, elderly residents and hospitals, and in the B2B2C market, where they provide the service and the installation for their own customers at home. We have quite a bit of competitors like Apple, Fitbit, Omron, or other systems, but we excel in making predictions and becoming a medical system as well. And these competitors will eventually become partners as well, because we can easily integrate different devices because we are device agnostic. It's a huge market. The global wearable healthcare market is very large and still growing today. We have a very experienced board because they are all industry specialists, serial entrepreneurs, and they invested a lot of money in the company. So they are skin deep in the game. The team is about 25 people, mostly R&D. We're expanding quickly via distributors around the globe, as you can see on the right. And today we are doing an equity round of 2.25 million. We raised already 4 million before in equity and received a bank loan, which we are still paying off 2.3 million. We're using the money mostly for sales and marketing, products and operations. And the major milestones we're facing now is medical certification, getting ourselves ready for the B2B2C market, and expanding mostly in Western Europe. The exit is very simple. We provide our specific healthcare algorithms to Apple, Fitbit, and other devices. And eventually they will say like, hey, you're using this for all of our competitors as well. We want to use your system solely for us. And then we will ask them, okay, you can do a bid on us. And that is the exit, very simply explained. The highest bidder gets Watcherr. So if you want to join us in our quest to become the most advanced AI healthcare system globally, feel free to contact me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Nikolai. Thank you. Max. I mean, this is an absolutely great startup. I mean, it's not easy to find startups that already generate revenues at the very beginning, as we are doing today. I'm very big fan of data, but as we all know, data matters when quality comes to the game. So how do you exactly extrapolate your data? And what, just to ask, what's the difference between inside and outside? Are they using different devices inside, or we are talking about all the same data?
It's a good question. So what we noticed, Frederick and I, in our own residences, being a user ourselves or a residence owner, and me as a nurse using a lot of the stress systems, the problem is you have a system which only works inside the building using a Bluetooth grid or radio frequencies, or that is being used only outside the building. But the combination of the two, that you have a continuum, if someone is using it inside the building, via Bluetooth as an example, what we're doing, and they are leaving the building, then they can use 4G via the Watcherr Pro. On that moment, we can continuously track them as well, giving us valuable data, because if a person falls outside, we will know. The data will be provided via a GPS. We will know exactly where the position of this person is, and we can send aid. We can call the person outside as well and inside the building.
But are data changing in terms of quality, or you can still provide a very high quality of data from outside?
It's very high data that we can provide, including the wrist movements even, because we can store a lot of data on the device, and we have found an efficient way to transfer the data. So it is at low cost, because data transfer can be very costly as well. So it's the combination of all of these things that makes Watcherr very unique. And that is why we are booming today very hard.
I mean, in terms of, I say for what I can see, the round is going to be done also for moving the model to B2B, B2C. What exactly is today?
Well, today we are actually active within the B2B intramural healthcare care houses and hospitals, because they all have the obligation to have a fixed nurse call system within their premises. So what we're providing is the extension of that minimal required necessity of a nurse call system, and we provide them with our system of the Watcherr, which is seemingly operational within. So we keep on tracking the person. So we have actually decided to follow the people, to have it on the persons and the patients, to track their whereabouts and how they are moving, how their heart rhythm is, how their vital parameters, how their behavior is, and to seek in deviations within those patterns and to hand over those deviations to the healthcare provider. And the indoor-outdoor, it's very important because if you have a patient still living at home, still living in a care house, or who leaves the hospital, well, you still want to track him outside of the premises, because otherwise you have a breach of your continuity of monitoring and there's a continuity of care. I'm going to give you a small example on how we treat that data on a high level and on a deep level. If we know what a person is doing in his bathroom at 8 o'clock brushing his teeth, that's good movement, which is a good token of living independently. But the moment that person is starting to brush their teeth at the middle of the night, 3 a.m. in the garage, well, then there's something wrong. We might need to inform this to the healthcare provider so we can have an early detection of other problems arising that normally evolve into a much later state until we, as a healthcare provider, can detect them. So we're aiding the healthcare providers into monitoring their patients in an early stage of evolution.
This is for the B2B, and this is for the SaaS and DaaS, let's call it this way, data as a service. And for them, it's very absolutely useful, and they know how to read data. How do you move to C?
Well, the C is actually the same because we have a link with healthcare centrals. It's like a call center in which we can divert the calls and the alerts to healthcare providers, home nursing companies, home aid companies, or at that moment also the care centrals, so they can always interpret their data, have contact with the client at home because they can call into the system, and then they can seek out if it's necessary to send somebody of the family, the relatives, or to send a nurse or a doctor or even the ambulance, and we can escalate it and triage the necessity or the urgency of the call. So the data is actually provided for us to be interpreted by healthcare providers, and we link with those healthcare providers, even in the B2B2C market.
Yep. To add on that, Max, we got questions from security systems with an alert central, and they asked, hey, can we combine security with healthcare? So we can upsell healthcare systems to our current customers. See? So the combination of the two makes it even more efficient.
But what about, it comes to me natural. I've been talking to a few startups trying to tackle this problem. As we know, execution and idea executed, it's everything. You can add whatever you want, but if you don't know how to do it, there is nothing you can do. And I understand that for what is my understanding, you compare, let's say, daily habits with what can be a standard habit for normal people, right? This is what is my understanding behind when you match data. But what I would like to ask you, what comes to me very natural in terms of business model? What about insurance?
Insurance is a very important aspect. What we want to do is provide the healthcare providers a means to maintain their clients as long as possible. So the nursing at home lose their client the moment the client goes to the hospital or goes to to a care house, because then it becomes another type of client, and vice versa. A lot of hospitals actually have a penalization of the subsidiaries in different European countries, and in the GCC that's a fact, in which when there is a readmission after a certain period, the hospital gets penalized. So this is what we want to do, is to ensure those healthcare providers with useful data to monitor clients outside of their visual reach, to be still in contact with them. To take the step into the real health insurance companies, that's a step which is a very deontological step to be taken. Is it going to be used to increase good behavior or to penalize bad behavior? That's a whole different ballgame. We're getting approached, and as a company, we're looking into that in how we're going to tackle those questions. But that's just a real next level.
In terms of, you are located, if I'm not wrong, in Belgium, right? Your market is not just Belgium, because as you can see, UK is there. And it's very normal for startups. We are based in UK, and of course we work in Europe as well. But it's very common for many startups to test in United Kingdom. United Kingdom is very it's very so deep in NHS and anything or care. It's extremely. I've been living there for 30 years. The view on care is very, very high. Although there is so much to improve. Now, for the investor perspective, where your market is very important, as your headquarters is. Where do you see your company going after Belgium? I think Germany was. I'm not sure, and UK. Where are you moving after?
At this moment, we noticed that the B2B market is a very good market, but it takes a bit of time before people sign, because hospitals take 1 year on average to sign contracts, elderly residences 6 months to 1 year. But what we noticed is some care centrals came to us and asked us, that's a B2B2C market, why can't we just provide your system to our current customers? And those are Belgian care centrals. Now, these contracts go very fast, because a customer calls them, says, hey, I want a distress system. And then they say, hey, here is Watcherr. So what we noticed also is the contract value, because of the recurring annual income is very high. We have one customer giving us 1.5 million annual recurring revenue per year, only one care central, at a minimum, without selling devices even. So what we were thinking is, hey, if you have such a lot of traction with these care centrals, even globally, let's start with Western Europe, the countries connected to Belgium, and go to all these care centrals with our proposition. That's the next step for Watcherr in the coming months, where we will just copy the same thing what we did with a few customers we're having now to all of the neighboring countries, Germany, France, UK, and Belgium.
We're talking about Pride care centers, yeah?
It's more like alarm centrals. Okay. Who, you know, their customers call them and say, hey, I need a technician, or I need something healthcare on that moment. And they will deviate the call to a third party. So, but the thing is, you have to call in. If our device can monitor what is happening, if fall, geofencing breach, this and this and this, it can generate automated alerts to the care centrals, which gives much more data on that moment, both inside the building, but also outside the building. See, that's where they're very interested in. And then you have, next to the care centrals, really healthcare centrals, who can do extra activities like sending nurses, you know, these things. And these two centers will be connected to us now in the coming months, or we're actively searching for them in Western Europe.
Max, without a doubt, you know, the button that people also in Italy can have from the healthcare providers. If there's an alert, you need to press the button. You know these systems. And this is what Nikolai is saying. You still need to press a button. If, God forbids, your mother falls down the stairs and she can't press the button, what happens? And this is where we will breach, we will reach over that gap. We will eliminate those blind spots in the healthcare continuum and generate those automatic alerts to professionals. And those professionals will be linked to us. This is a question that we have in Belgium. And we see that the same question is in Europe and also in the GCC area, because in the GCC area, we went to Dubai a couple of weeks ago. They have a different care approach, but they also want to maintain their parents and their families close and at home as long as possible. But there is no way you have a 24/7 connection to somebody. So this is why we're coming up as the solution for those B2B2C markets, and it's globally, because we have one advantage: the human being is globally present, and they have the same needs. And we can look after our children as much as possible. But when we have to look after our parents, we're at a different stage of life, and we want to have an aid for that. And the B2B2C market with Watcherr will be tackled as your digital guardian 24/7 with your loved ones.
Yeah, I can perfectly understand. We had my granddad passing away 2 years ago with Parkinson. Has been an absolutely nightmare, which is nightmare means nightmare. And I'm very pleased there are people like you. They are committed to help the family to understand much before that the problem is there. Because when the problem is there, it's a nightmare. Yeah. It affects all the family and beyond the family. Yeah,
and this is where we want to help and to support.
I do agree. I mean, as we don't have so much time, in terms of funding, let's say around you're already making above 1 million in recurrent revenue. Before we move a bit more on the A round, when you talk about recurrent revenue, if you can share with us, are we talking about how many years normally it's your agreement with this care center or healthcare or care providers where they are?
Well, it's always a mandatory 5 years that we take in a SaaS model. They can also pay upfront so that we get some nice money for 5 years upfront for the company. So they have a choice because they get a reduction, have some VAT advantages and so on. So we do the combination, even in different countries like in Canada, where we are venturing now just orally. So people say, hey, Watcherr system is good. I know some people over there and there. And they said to us, here, we only pay everything upfront. See, so that's how the business model is then constructed. Even in the B2B market, Max, we have someone, a massive player, global competitor of us, who asked us recently, hey, stop stealing our customers. We want to even redistribute your system over all of our customers. So hospitals, elderly residences, and so on. So that's something very important now that we're venturing into next to the B2B2C market too. So
let me say 5 years is the perfect timing for an investor. They can exit.
Exactly.
At the end of the contract. That's absolutely perfect.
it's important also to note that once a customer, even in my own residence or Frederick residences, takes a system, they're very bound to it. It takes 20 years or 30 years before they even think, you know, if your system is really running well, yeah, they will not quit you. They're just so used to it and so dependent on it.
Absolutely.
The 5 years for us is a good way to always provide the next level of technology because it evolves and it forces us together with the clients to keep evolving into better and more covering assistance.
It does. It does. Shall we close giving a short brief on the round? Let's say an A round. Do you have any commitment? And who are the investors you're looking for?
No, it are mostly VCs on this moment. We can have business angels too. Minimum ticket size is 500K. We with the board just recently invested 2.3 million. So every board member or nearly every board member invested some money to get as much as possible shares for us because we believe so strongly in the company. But on a certain moment, we don't have endless pockets with money. So we have to scale now to different countries. So we need quite a bit of money. So an extra round of 2.25 million is being used for this. And we have some interest. We have interest from the Emirates. We have interest from in Europe. We have interest from in the US. Different ticket sizes, even higher than the current rounds. I have some soft commitments already.
Okay.
But everything is still open because we are mostly looking for smart investors who can help us. Help us in the US, help us in the UK, help us somewhere else. Or with extra data they can provide us or knowledge, and not only just the money.
That's great. I mean, I do hope you can, in EquityMatch, we can help you to kick this ball going and close this round as soon as we can. You can. Unfortunately, we don't have an endless time. Thank you so much, Nikolai and Frederick. Very much.
Welcome.
Thank you, Max.
Thanks for the questions.
Pleasure. Thank you.